Good evening. I'm Terry Hornstein, weekend morning news anchor and morning reporter for CBS 12 News. On behalf of Ferd and Gladys Alpert Jewish Family Service, welcome to the agency's third annual Never Again Holocaust Survivors Benefit. As a member of the Palm Beach County Jewish community, it is my honor to be here. When I was asked to serve as the MC for tonight's event, I jumped at the opportunity. Since 1995, no agency in our area has done more to help Holocaust survivors than Alpert Jewish Family Service. The agency is committed to ensuring our Holocaust survivors continue to live out their remaining years with dignity. Like most of you, I care deeply about the Holocaust. Why is this? Well, because it happened, and we must never forget. The Holocaust, also known as the Shoah, refers to the genocide of European Jews during World War II. Between 1941 and 1945, the Nazi regime and its allies and collaborators under Adolf Hitler's rule systematically murdered 6 million Jews across Europe. By the end of the war, the Nazis had killed nearly 2 out of every 3 Jew as part of the final solution. And we are here this evening to retell the stories of the last generation of survivors and to honor the memories of those who have passed, and to ensure the atrocities of the Holocaust will never, ever happen again. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Zelda Mason. She is the president and board chair of Alpert Jewish Family Service and its sister agency, Melvin and Claire Levin Jewish Residential and Family Service. She will be joined by the agency's CEO, Mark Hoppen.
Thank you, Terry. Good evening, everyone. Zelda and I are so pleased that you are able to join us for this special event. We are appreciative of the generosity of the many organizations, agency partners, event sponsors, and individual donors that make the work of Ferd and Gladys Alpert Jewish Family Service possible. Because of you, we can do the work closest to our hearts, caring for and helping Holocaust survivors from Boynton Beach to Vero Beach.
Good evening. On behalf of our Holocaust survivor clients who benefit from your kindness, I want to say a personal thank you. We would like to recognize our agency partners and event sponsors for your generosity. Following our program, we will have a full listing of partners and sponsors in our credits.
The Conference of Jewish Material Claims Against Germany, also known as the Claims Conference, has been the largest funding organization for our Holocaust Survivors Assistance Program, providing millions of dollars to help us subsidize comprehensive services, including care coordination and management, assisting survivors with daily living skills, and providing meals, socialization programs, medical and dental care, transportation, home repairs, and emergency financial assistance. It is truly an honor to be a part of their mission to bring a small measure of justice for Jewish victims of Nazi persecution. We are also grateful to 2 additional organizations, Kavod and Next Generations, for providing essential additional funding that we use to help Holocaust survivors live with dignity. We are proud to be a partner agency of the Jewish Federation of Palm Beach County and are ever grateful for the funding they provide, a portion of which is used to meet the needs of Holocaust survivors.
We share our appreciation for the wealth of private donations that have provided a tremendous boost to our efforts offering care and support for daily living to the Holocaust survivors in our midst.
This evening, we are proud to present the 3rd annual Never Again Holocaust Survivors Benefit, Echoes of Memory, the importance of retelling the stories of Holocaust survivors. Our MC, Terry Hornstein, will have an intimate sit-down with Alpert JFS client and Holocaust survivor Evelyn Graypeck as she shares her story of survival, courage, and resilience.
We will recognize the Alpert JFS Holocaust Care Team, comprised of 7 of the most professional and dedicated full-time employees working to address the distinct social welfare, health care, and emotional needs of Holocaust survivors with the utmost sensitivity.
Dr. Mitchell Josephs will share how he came to provide pro bono dental services to local Holocaust survivors, changing their lives and their smiles for the better.
An award named for my dear friend Vivian Ivory of blessed memory will be presented, and we will hear from keynote speaker Steven Rambam, a private investigator turned Nazi hunter who has spent about 3 decades pursuing 20th century's most brazen murderers, seeking justice for those who perished in the Holocaust.
We share our most sincere thanks to our event co-chairs, Sheila Engelstein and Diane Herzog, who each have a personal connection to the Shoah and understand the importance of retelling the stories of Holocaust survivors. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have put together a virtual event that will inspire, motivate, and retell the stories of Holocaust survivors. We invite you to sit back and enjoy our program.
Thank you, Zelda and Mark. Throughout the evening, you will see moving images of local Holocaust survivors that were taken by a dear friend of the agency, fine art photographer Hope Kahn-Hoffman. In reflecting on her project, Hope acknowledges the pain survivors carry in their memories and experiences. How does one face the future living through the horrors of the Holocaust? These men, women, and children lived through the unthinkable. Their survivors' stories and experiences permeated my sleep. In the light of day, their stories widened my eyes to their ability to survive when life had challenged them in unimaginable ways. Flooded with their own nightmares, most struggled to trust again. Yet the resiliency of these survivors became evident as they moved forward with their lives.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Engelstein, and thank you for being here virtually tonight. Together we honor all Holocaust survivors in our community. Their endurance is a testament to the extraordinary strength they possess. I am proud to be co-chairing this event for the 3rd consecutive year. You see, my husband Alec was a survivor of the Shoah, and like many survivors joining us today, his is a remarkable story of courage and survival. Alec lived in Romania and at 12 years old was sent to camp with his family. He already spoke several languages and was able to use this skill to feed his family by bartering with the Germans and Russians. He, his father, and brother survived because of his actions. I believe it is my obligation to do all that I can to ensure that our Holocaust survivors continue to live with dignity. This is the reason I support the Alpert Jewish Families Service Holocaust Survivors Assistance Program, and why tonight's event is so important to me and to so many others.
Good evening, and thank you, Sheila. It is my honor to chair this event alongside you. My connection to the Holocaust is one that has been instilled in me since a young child. My parents, George and Martha Rich, were Holocaust survivors, and their lifelong mission was to educate and broaden people's understanding of the Holocaust in order to ensure something as horrific as this will never happen again. My mother, Martha Rich, was a survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau who came to the United States in 1946. Although it was painful for her to speak about her life in the ghetto and concentration camp, she felt it was vital that people shall never forget. She considered it her obligation. It was only later in life that she began to share her story with students of all ages. She spoke at various colleges and schools. My mother played a pivotal role in the Paper Clips Memorial Project. This project was started by 8th grade middle school students in the small town of Whitwell, Tennessee. The students discovered that Norwegians wore paper clips on their lapels during World War II as a silent protest against Nazi occupation. The Whitwell students decided to collect 6 million paper clips to represent the estimated 6 million Jews that were killed under Adolf Hitler. My mother was asked by the principal, Linda Hooper, to speak at the inauguration ceremony of an original cattle car brought to Whitwell from Germany. The day she spoke at Whitwell, she never thought she would be standing in an original cattle car again. The extreme heat and crowdedness in the cattle car on the inauguration day brought back painful memories of the days she spent in a cattle car years before. She was appointed to the New Jersey State Commission of Holocaust Studies. In 2004, she established Cafe Europa in the Metro West community of New Jersey and led many missions to Israel. I'm here to keep my parents' message and mission alive. Because of my parents' legacy to give back emotionally as well as financially to Holocaust survivors is the reason I am so connected to this program. I choose to support the incredible work of Alpert Jewish Family Service and all they do for the Holocaust survivors in our community.
Good evening, I'm Eva Weiss, and today I have the very special opportunity to allow you to meet one of our survivors who I've been able to work with for the past, I'm going to say close to 20 years through a variety of stages in her life. It's my privilege and my pleasure to introduce to you one of our very special survivors, Evelyn Graypeck, who's going to share with us her unique perspective on a lost childhood.
Eva, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful introduction. I came over to the United States when I was 10. We left Berlin, Germany. I was about 8. Times were difficult, everything was hush-hush, and my parents never explained anything, but we left Berlin, took a train to Czechoslovakia. On the train at the border between Germany and Czechoslovakia, they had the control people come on with their uniforms. And I remember as a child panicking because a uniform meant Nazis to me. I didn't know what it meant. I only knew it was fear. We arrived in the United States a year later because my parents stayed in Prague and they tried to get a visa to come anywhere in the world. And because they didn't have time to take care of me, they placed me in a home in Prague that had many other children that were children of people escaping from Europe, trying to get anywhere. Prague was about the best place to get a visa. After a year of being in that horrible school, and I think I threw up every day, we finally went on the ship and came to America. When we were here about 2 months and we got settled, my mother brought me to school because education is very, very important. And I remember being put into a classroom where the children were second graders, maybe even kindergarten. They were little, and I was 10 years old. And the reason they put me into that classroom is because the teacher spoke a little German and she could communicate with me. I don't think they realized at the time that putting me in that kind of a situation, the children made a lot of fun of me. And it started my life in school here as very unhappy. I came home crying every day. But the teacher did tell me that you're here in America now, and you have to be like other children in America. and I worked very hard at learning the language. I wanted to be like everyone else, and this was my goal in life as I was growing up. And I think I hid the idea of being a survivor, as we call it now, a Holocaust survivor. I knew I was different. I didn't speak the language the way other people did. My clothes were not the same as other children. And I would cry myself to sleep every night because I felt so alone. Thinking about it brings that back. I married a man who was an American. He served in the American Army during the Second World War. He was wounded in Germany. He received the Purple Heart, the Bronze Star, a Yankee 100%. And I felt I was an American. We were about to get married, and my husband said to me, you know, I need proof of a birth certificate from you because we're going to Bermuda on a honeymoon. And we need proof to come back into the country. And that sort of started that feeling again. Why do I have to prove to be who I am? And he was an attorney, and he said, go up to the immigration department and see if you can get a copy or something or proof of your birth and that you are an American citizen. I was under the impression that I was an American citizen because my father was sworn in, but my mother had died of cancer on my 18th birthday. The law was, if both parents are citizens before your 18th birthday, you become a citizen automatically. That's the way it was at that time. But since my mother died on my birthday, the question arose, did she die before my birthday or after? And therefore, the immigration people said, you are not a citizen of this country. Well, my whole world fell apart. I called my husband. I said, you better get up here right away to find out what's going on. I don't know if I leave the country, if I can come back in again. To make a long story short, they called Washington. They got a re-entry permit for me in 3 days. I was able to get married. We went to Bermuda. I had no problem coming home. 2 weeks later, I got the letter that I was going to be sworn in. I was ushered into this huge hall, and they gave me an American flag. And I pledged allegiance. And it was the most memorable day of my life, besides being married. And then I came down to Florida. My husband retired, I retired, and we decided to move down to Florida. Just for the winter, we kept our home in Long Beach, New York. And unfortunately, we were here about 6-7 months, and he passed away. My daughter insisted that after the summer, that I come back to Florida. She said, don't change your ways, try it. You can always come home. I'll come down with you. And I came down, and I felt alone. And who did I turn to? Jewish Family Services. And I called and I said, I think I need help. And they were wonderful. And they assigned a therapist to me. And after about 2 sessions, she said to me, I know what you're suffering from. It's your memories of what happened to you as a child. And I have a wonderful, wonderful group that's starting through Jewish Services of some women, and you'll talk with each other, and I think you'll be able to help yourself. And that's how I met Eva. She was, I think it was your first job, or one of the first. There's a program called Uniper that the Jewish Family Services was able to provide. It's a program that's installed in a regular TV. They have two parts. There's a live program where it's current events, it's all kinds of things. And then there are videos, which are absolutely wonderful. Exercise.
Evelyn, thank you again so very much for telling your story. It is one that we will never forget. To learn more about the incredible impact of Alpert Jewish Family Service and the Holocaust Survivors Assistance Program, please call 561-684-1991 or visit the agency's website at the address shown on your screen.
For over 26 years, no agency in our area has done more to help Holocaust survivors than Alpert Jewish Family Service. Though donations and a grant from the Claims Conference each year, they provide hundreds of thousands of hours of in-home care. They address other unique needs of our survivors, including care management, medical and dental costs, food and medicine, companionship, and transportation. Alpert Jewish Family Service also provides socialization activities for Holocaust survivors, where they enjoy the company of others and relive some of the painful isolation they very often experience. As Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel once said, "One person of integrity can make a difference." I am asking you to please make your voice heard now by making a generous donation to Alpert Jewish Family Service. With your gift, we will ensure that our survivors will live the remainder of their lives with the necessities and comforts that they so deserve. To make a donation, please text "Never Again" to 561-621-1117. Now, please welcome Jewish Family Service Director of Long-Term Care, Jennifer Escobar. She leads a team of compassionate and caring professionals who are responsible for delivering critical services to our survivors.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Escobar, Director of Long-Term Care at Alpert Jewish Family Service. I'm honored to work with a team of caring professionals who are dedicated to providing compassionate support to survivors of the Holocaust. Our internationally recognized professional staff has the expertise to identify and address the unique needs of Jewish survivors of the Shoah. Our Holocaust team provides assistance navigating the reparations application and benefits process, case management and care coordination, in-home care, medical, dental, and food assistance, psychiatry counseling and support groups, companionship and transportation, and respite to caregivers. We also support with emergency needs. Our agency also offers special social activities for survivors that give them an opportunity to enjoy the company of others, relieving isolation and carrying on a long-standing post-war tradition in the survivor community. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we devised a plan to serve our clients from a safe distance. We found creative ways to keep survivors connected. We taught them how to use Zoom so they could continue socializing with each other at Zoom and Schmooze monthly meetups. Nearly 300 copies of the Read and Schmooze newsletter have been mailed to survivors, keeping them informed about what is happening at the agency and abreast of current events.
It is now my pleasure to recognize Palm Beach dentist Dr. Mitchell Josephs, who has provided free dental care to many Holocaust survivors. Among those he has helped an 87-year-old man whose implants allow him to eat more than soup and smile again, and a 77-year-old woman who received porcelain crowns, eliminating the pain she felt when eating or drinking something cold. In an example of how narratives connect with people's motivations and promote action, Dr. Josephs was compelled to provide services after hearing the story of a Holocaust survivor and learning how Alpert JFS assists them.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Mitch Josephs. I have a practice here in the island of Palm Beach. I practice cosmetic implant and implant dentistry for about 33 years. First in Manhattan for 4 years, and for the last 30 years down here in Palm Beach.
My name is Zev Liebskin. I'm connected to the Jewish Families Service.
I've experienced anti-Semitism my whole life. In Florida, there's been and all over the country, all over the world, there's been an increase in anti-Semitic events and violence against Jews. And lately, there was a local story here in Florida about a principal of a high school, I believe in Boca, where he made some type of statement saying that to teach anything related to the Holocaust, you have to teach both points of view. Some statement like that. Or he said something like, you have to hear the other side of the story too. So one of the things that frustrates me the most is Holocaust deniers, that there are still people these days, conspiracy theorists, people that think the Holocaust never happened. And the Holocaust survivors are getting to the age where they're not going to be around much longer. So during an event at my local synagogue, Palm Beach Synagogue, Rabbi Shiner told me about an event at a home in my neighborhood at the time. And a representative from JFS brought a survivor to this meeting at a neighbor's home who spoke about a book that she wrote about her experience in the Holocaust. And at the end of the meeting, I went up to the JFS people and I said, what do you do for the Holocaust survivors that are living at or below poverty level as far as dental work? Because I know a lot of them get medical care, they qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, but there's really no way to qualify for any free dental work. Now, historically, people without funds, they could go to certain places and get a tooth pulled, be out of pain. But there's no comprehensive dentistry outfit that could provide replacement of missing teeth that's needed for chewing and to prevent gastroenterology issues. So I said, well, listen, I'm only a solo practitioner, so let's work one at a time. Send me a Holocaust survivor living at or below poverty level that needs extensive dental work, extractions, implants, replacement of missing teeth, or even something cosmetic. You know, there's some people that can't get a job with the people because of unsightly teeth. So since then, one at a time, they send me a patient and I do all the work. And then when I finish one patient, I call JFS and I speak to Jennifer Escobar or Ava Weiss and I say, I'm ready for the next patient. Zev here, he's probably number 12. In my mind, he's number 1 because I like him the best. We get along great, but he's probably my 12th patient that we've seen.
The doctor did a tremendous amount of work on me, and he's a mensch. That's
Thank you.
The main thing, and I'm grateful for all the work that he put in with me, and I have no other word to say that he's a great human being.
Supporting Jewish Families Services supports helping out the Holocaust survivors in our local community that have very severe financial needs and can use this kind of assistance. We've been on the local news about these stories, and we use social media to talk about each case that we do. So the goal was to get other doctors to step up to the plate and take on these patients pro bono. And I think to date, we in my office, my staff and I, we probably are over $75,000 worth of treatment that we've done pro bono. I always tell this story about one of the survivors that came in. He had numbers on his arms, and he survived Auschwitz. And I know from my Hebrew school in just what I watch on television, that I think Auschwitz was responsible for murdering 2 million of the 6 million Jews. And I asked this patient who looked very strong, he looked like he could break me like a pencil, and I asked him, how did you survive Auschwitz? What's the secret? And this big, strong guy just immediately started crying. And you count how many years have gone by since the Holocaust, and I asked him this one question, and he starts crying. And his answer was, as long as the sun came up every morning, it just meant it was a possibility to get out. Yeah.
Now it is time for me to share a story of my own, one of a beautiful and loving friendship. My dear friend, the late Vivian Ivory, had a big, warm heart. She was extraordinary, kind and caring, and she was devoted to Alpert JFS. Her life and generosity touched and transformed many other lives in our community and around the world. Vivian has left her handprint on Alpert JFS through her legacy gift, which ensures the services she cared about will live on. I am honored to present the inaugural Never Again Award in memory of Vivian Felberman Ivory. We present this award to an individual who took her job as an elementary school teacher to the next level, Joanne Baseman. Born and raised in New York, she relocated to Florida in 1984 and served as an elementary school teacher for over 30 years before retiring in 2018. Joanne has always viewed her profession as an opportunity to make an impact on children with her unique style of teaching. She found it was important to teach about diversity from a young age. My daughter Tracy and care manager Sarah Zenlia connected Joanne with Holocaust survivors who visited her classrooms to retell their stories. She instilled the importance of hearing stories directly from survivors so that the students themselves could retell and keep the stories alive. Joanne's goal was to bridge the gap between the younger generations and to honor the remaining Holocaust survivors by giving them a platform in which to share their stories, which is so important to what we do at Alpert JFS and why we are here tonight. It is with great pleasure that I present the inaugural Never Again Award in memory of Vivian Felberman Ivory to Joanne Baseman.
Receiving this gift truly lets me know that the work that we did with the Holocaust survivors in my elementary school has impacted not only Jewish Family Services in honoring me, but it also impacts the children as much as this has impacted me.
Steven Rambam covertly pursued Nazis across the U.S., Canada, Europe, and Australia. He helped track down 200 Nazis, collaborators, and war criminals. When coming face to face with dozens of them, he recorded interviews and their confessions. Tonight, we will get an extraordinary glimpse into a dark and dangerous world, the pursuit of some of history's most notorious criminals. Join me now for a sit-down with private investigator and Nazi hunter, Steven Rambam. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Why have you chosen to be with us tonight at the Alpert JFS?
After I was contacted by them, I'm an investigator. I did an investigation. And they seem to be an organization that does pretty terrific work.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What is your connection to the Holocaust? I know you've done a lot of investigating when it comes to it.
You know, for a long time that was my only connection. I'm Jewish. I'm an investigator. I was raised to believe that when you have a special skill, you have to make it available to the community. If you're a doctor, you should work in a free clinic. If you're an attorney, you should do pro bono work. I'm an investigator. I did a lot of investigations for the benefit of the Jewish community over the years. And at a certain point in the early, I guess, 1990s, it's been a while, I became aware that essentially everything that I had come to know about the pursuit of Nazi war criminals and whether they were actually being captured and brought to justice was not correct. That there were 8,000, 10,000 that came to America, that there was a disproportionate number up in Canada. The worst were in Canada, the heavy lifters of the Holocaust, the riflemen and so on and so forth. And it just seemed immediately apparent to me and to some of my colleagues that we could use our skills to expose these people and actually get some of them put on trial. I don't like the phrase Nazi hunter because a lot of people hunt Nazis, but they don't catch them. We were Nazi catchers. When I started these investigations, I thought what most Jews thought, that the Nazis were being hunted, they were being pursued, they were living in South America, you know, plastic surgery, changed their names, towns of Nazis where they were hiding, that the FBI was hunting them, the Mossad was hunting them. All untrue. Nazis weren't hiding. The ones that I found in Canada, I started with a list of 1,000 people that were known to be in Canada, and we selected 200 of them. And we found about 1/3 of them by looking in the phone book. I mean, these people weren't hiding. They listed their names in the phone book. They bought houses under their own name. They registered to vote. It was a real revelation. And when I started to meet the real hunters, the people who'd been doing this all their lives, and one guy told me, you know, you fellas exposed more Nazi war criminals in 3 years than I did in 30 years. And that was a great moment in my life.
How shocking was it for you finding out these Nazis were living among everybody else?
So I have to tell you what it was more than anything else was on a personal level, as a Jewish person, humiliating.
So you said that you weren't aware originally, like many Jewish people, these Nazis were just living among everyone else. So why did you decide to originally hunt these Nazis down?
To the extent I can say it's a funny story, it was a pretty funny story. I was doing security. I was running a security detail for a federal agent who had traveled outside his area and was speaking on Nazi hunting. And during the event, you know, I was walking around making sure the security was as good as it needed to be. And an old fellow walked up to me, a guy with an accent, and he said, listen, I'm one of the organizers of the group of Ukrainian Jewish survivors of the Holocaust. And you're Steve Rambam, right? And I said, yeah, I am. He said, yeah, we did some research on you, and I want to give you this file. And he gave me, typewritten on an old typewriter, it looks like it had been around for a while, a list of over 100 Nazi war criminals that were supposedly in Canada. And he said, look, read this list, see what these war criminals did. Maybe you can find some of them. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of what we call tinfoil hat people that contact an investigator, probably also a journalist, and they tell you crazy, crazy stories. And if you're smart, you understand that about 99% of them are just fantasy. But I believe this guy. And I took the list, and at a later point, a couple of months later, I was in the office, and my office in New York, and as a joke, I took a couple of pages and I gave one of my guys a couple of pages and I gave my assistant a couple of pages and I said, let's find some Nazis. You know, these people were the worst of the worst, the ones that I ended up going after. They were mostly the local collaborators, Latvian, Lithuanian, Belarusian, Estonian, especially Ukrainian. And they were involved with what was called the Holocaust of bullets. They face to face killed 2.2 million Jews. These people basically managed to come into Canada, come into the United States, live normal lives, raise children, see grandchildren, be, most of them, good middle class, or in some cases upper class successes. They lived the lives that they took away from 2.2 million people. Suddenly I'm getting a case, one case, which is more homicides than the average investigator works in a lifetime.
So knowing some of these atrocities these people committed, what goes through your head when you're faced with these Nazi war criminals?
I'll give you the answer you didn't expect, but it's the first thing that went through my mind. How do I do this case without hurting these people? I'm Jewish. I'm Jewish. These people are mass murderers of Jews. How do I be a professional? Listen, if I do my job correctly, I'm going to be alone in a room with these people. Nobody's going to know I'm there. They're going to be confessing their crimes to me. And how do I go, thank you very much, and shake their hand? And the first case that I did, I had to actually force myself to do that. This police chief who killed 5,000 Jews, 1,000 of them were kids, little kids. You know, I sat there and he was so happy to have a supposed, you know, professor come all the way to interview him. I set up an identity as Salvatore Romano and a fake university and all of that, and I sat there and he brought out schnapps and we had a shot and his wife brought out cake and I was there. And by the way, she was a war criminal also. She was the person who carted off all their jewels at the end of the day. They were made to pay for food and water and whatever, so they would reveal their valuables. You know, that was rough.
How satisfying is it, or was it for you, bringing these people to justice?
For a while, it was pretty depressing. You know, and that's because I was focusing on the wrong thing, which is what the hell happened for the past 50 years? Why did I have to come along and do this? And these people mostly escape justice. They're old people. There's no way that we're going to get all these people put on trial. And if they get put on trial, they're going to appeal, and most of them are going to die in their beds, unlike their victims, obviously. But then I focused on the accomplishment, and it very much helped that a lot of people in the Jewish community, especially survivors, came and said, you know, this was great, we're so glad you did it. You know, at least you gave these people a bad night, you exposed them, and you know, I meet these people, and these people really bucked me up and said they thought it was great and that I'd accomplished a lot. And honestly, my thought was, well, if you think so, I'm happy. You know, who the hell am I to say anything? So then I started feeling some satisfaction. And then the craziest thing, I started getting, I do a lot of weird cases in general, even weirder than these. And I started getting contact from people that I knew or heard about, some of them quite famous people from intelligence agencies, including from Israel, but also from the UK and Australia, and a bunch from the US, and they were saying, great job, this was great, we always wondered why people didn't do this before. And, you know, they would, do you know what a challenge coin is? Okay, so it's a little coin with like a unit name on it, or Central Intelligence Agency, or something like that. And I would meet them in a bar and they'd say, you know, not too many people get this challenge coin, this is your award because we can't give you a plaque and whatever. And I gotta tell you, as childish as it sounds, that was actually a big deal for me.
So you've had this remarkable career. What's next for you when all the Nazis are gone?
All the Nazis are gone. they have mostly escaped justice. The trials that are going on now, listen, these horrible criminals, alleged horrible criminals, I guess I'm legally required to say, can hire the worst attorney on the planet. A guy who got out of law school this morning, and that person will be able to stall and delay and file motions. None of the people that are still alive, most of them already died in their beds. I mean, I think worldwide there's maybe 500-600 left. It's an enormous number, but in 5 years they will all be gone, I'm certain. And between now and 5 years from now, you're not getting anybody put in jail. Not a chance. And I have to tell you, the sad thing and the sick thing is, not that I don't think you should take these people and throw them in a dark cell and let them end their life encountering some justice. I'll tell you two things. On the positive side, ultimately they're going to go before the only court that really matters. I have to say this, you talk to members of the survivor community and they're the most remarkable, unbelievable people. These are people who went through hell. And they, you know, I don't know that I would ever be able to tell another joke as long as I lived if I went through that. And these are people who raised families, they have grandchildren. Best revenge on Hitler imaginable, a lot of Jews.
Well, Steve Rambam, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you again for joining us tonight. What an impactful evening. On behalf of Alpert Jewish Family Service, a heartfelt thanks to all of the event's sponsors, hosts, ambassadors, and supporters who have made a donation in connection with tonight's program. Your generosity enables the agency to provide critical services to our survivor community. Remember, without your support, these programs could not exist. I am so grateful to have been with you this evening. I hope you were as moved as I was by what we experienced tonight. Please continue the momentum, spread the message, tell your friends and colleagues about the important work of Alpert Jewish Family Service. I wish each of you continued wellness and safety. Enjoy the rest of your night.